She said, "You're lucky I even chose you. Others want me too." I replied, "Let's fix that." Then I handed her packed bags and a taxi receipt. Hours later, she was frantically calling me from her ex's doorstep after he refused to let her in. I, 34 male, build architectural models. It's a quiet, precise job, and my apartment, which I own, is both my workshop and my sanctuary. It's a space of ordered calm, centered around my greatest achievement, an intricate, color competition-winning model of a futuristic library that took me a year to build. It is my masterpiece. For 2 years, this space was shared with Cassandra, 31. She works in PR, and her life is a performance for an audience of admirers. I was drawn to her energy, but I soon realized her charisma was a gravitational force that required constant validation to sustain itself, primarily for men. She kept her ex, Caleb, on a low simmer, a dear friend, who was clearly her backup plan. Her social life was a constant exercise in collecting male attention, a way to remind me that she had options, and that I was lucky. The end came last Friday. I had just won a prestigious award for my library model. It was the biggest moment of my career, and I was excited to share it with her. She, however, was not happy for me. She was sullen, and when I asked what was wrong, she accused me of ignoring her. "It's just. You've been so wrapped up in this little model thing all day," she said dismissively. My pitch meeting was with a CEO. That's the real world. I just wish you could see the difference in scale. The condescension was breathtaking. She was devaluing my entire career. "This little model thing is my passion, Cassandra," I said, my voice quiet. "It's what pays for this apartment you live in." That was the wrong thing to say. "Oh, here we go," she snapped, standing up. "You're throwing the apartment in my face. I sacrificed so much to be with you, Julian. I chose this quiet life when I have so many other opportunities. My phone is full of messages from men who would treat me like a queen. Men with real ambition. You are so lucky I even chose you. Others want me too." She stood there, expecting me to grovel. But something inside me went still. The constant noise of her drama just faded, and in its place was a profound, cold clarity. I saw the relationship for what it was, and I was done being her audience. A calm smile touched my lips. "Let's fix that," I said. The confusion on her face was immediate. "What?" "The problem," I explained gently. "The problem is you're stuck here with me when you have better options. It's not fair to you. We should fix that, right now." Before she could process it, I walked into the bedroom. She had been getting ready for a night out with friends, and her suitcase was still on the floor. I opened it and began to pack her things. I started with her clothes, then her shoes, then the mountain of cosmetics in the bathroom. I didn't throw anything. I packed with a calm, detached precision. This wasn't anger. It was a logistical exercise. "Julian, what are you doing? Stop it. This isn't funny." She sputtered, following me. I ignored her, pulling out my phone. I booked a taxi to her ex-boyfriend Caleb's address, paying in advance and tipping generously. The receipt was emailed to me instantly. I finished packing her life into 2 suitcases and 2 duffel bags, and placed them by the front door. I turned to her. She was just staring, her fury mixed with genuine shock. "You're all packed," I said softly. I showed her the taxi receipt on my phone. "Your ride is waiting. I've sent you to Caleb's. It's time for you to explore one of your other options." Her jaw worked, but no sound came out. "You said I was lucky you chose me," I continued. "But luck runs out. Now you're free. You can be with someone who appreciates you on the proper scale." I opened the front door and moved her bags into the hallway. "Goodbye, Cassandra." I closed the door on her enraged face, and slid the deadbolt home. The silence in my apartment was absolute. I didn't feel sad. I felt clean. 2 hours later, my phone rang. It was her. I answered on the 4th call and put it on speaker. "Julian, you have to call him." She shrieked over the sound of traffic. "Call who?" I asked. "Caleb, he won't let me in. His lights are on, but he's not answering. You sent me here, you have to fix this." Then I heard a man's muffled voice from her background, yelling through a closed door. "Go away, Cass. I told you we were done. I'm not your backup plan. It's over. Cassandra's voice came back, choked with a sob of pure rage. Did you hear that? This is your fault. You ruined my life. I listened for a moment to the sound of her entitlement crashing against the wall of reality. Her primary backup plan had failed. She was alone on a doorstep with her entire life in 4 bags. Sounds like a personal problem, I said, and hung up. Update 1. The silence after that phone call was golden, but I knew it was only a temporary ceasefire. Cassandra's frantic, hysterical calls continued for another hour before devolving into a series of venomous texts that swung wildly from threats of police action to pleas for me to take her back. I ignored them all. The next morning, my first call was to a locksmith. As he was changing the locks, her counterattack began. It came in the form of a wall of text from her best friend, Qley, accusing me of being a sociopathic monster for throwing Cass out on the street. I learned Cassandra had ended up waking her other male admirer, Marcus, at 4 a.m. to take her in. I sent Qley a single, factual reply, stating that Cassandra had ended the relationship and I had simply facilitated her departure. Then I blocked her number. Cassandra had activated her second-tier backup plan. Marcus, a wealthy but weak-willed guy who had been orbiting her for years. I could picture her setting up camp in his spare room, spinning her tale of woe while he fetched her coffee, thinking this was his chance. A day later, an email from Cassandra arrived. She was officially requesting a time to retrieve essential work documents. I agreed to Saturday at noon, specifying she would have 15 minutes and would not come past the entryway. At noon on the dot, she arrived with Marcus in tow, her emotional support human shield. She had clearly been practicing her crying face. "Julian," she said softly, trying to edge her way past me. "Can we just talk?" "There's nothing to talk about," I said, blocking the doorway. "I have a box for you." I had packed a small box with the few files and charges she'd left behind. As she reached for it, her eyes darted around the apartment. Her gaze landed on my work table, where a few small, simple models were displayed. As she took the box, she feigned a stumble, her arm swinging out and knocking one of the models to the floor. It shattered. "Oh my God, Julian, I am so sorry," she gasped, her hands flying to her mouth in mock horror. "It was an accident, man," Marcus chimed in. But I saw it clearly. It was a warning shot. "See what I can break." A cold fury settled over me. I didn't raise my voice. I looked at the splintered model, then back at her. "Your 15 minutes are up," I said, my voice flat. "Get out." Her mask of fake remorse dropped, replaced by pure rage. She knew I had seen through the act. "Fine," she spat, grabbing Marcus and storming off. After they left, I swept up the pieces. Any flicker of guilt I might have felt was extinguished. She was destructive. I also realized with a jolt what she had been looking for, my masterpiece, the library model. Thankfully, after the award win, I had moved it to my secure studio for professional photography. The thought of what she might have done to it made my stomach turn. 2 days later, my building management emailed me about a formal noise complaint from an anonymous neighbor, citing a violent-sounding disturbance from my unit on the night I kicked her out. It was a calculated attempt to jeopardize my housing. The game had changed. She wasn't just lashing out anymore. She was trying to systematically dismantle my life. I had to stop being reactive. I had to start anticipating her moves, because it was clear she would stop at nothing. Update 2. I handled the noise complaint by meeting with my building manager, Mrs. Stottgable. I calmly explained that a relationship had ended and my ex-girlfriend had caused a scene in the hallway, not in my apartment. Mrs. Gable was understanding, but warned that another complaint would force her to take formal action. Cassandra had found a lever, and she would pull it again if she could. Her next attack was more direct. I received a Venmo request for $5,000 for emotional damages, illegal eviction, and shared lifestyle expenses. I declined it with a one-word comment, "No," and blocked her. This, however, was just a prelude. A week ago, a courier delivered an envelope. I was being sued in small claims court for the maximum amount of $10,000. The claim was that she was a co-owner of my award-winning library model. According to her filing, the model was a jointly commissioned art piece for her PR firm, and she had provided essential conceptual design contributions. Her star witness was listed as Marcus Thorne. It was a breathtaking work of fiction. She was trying to legally hijack my greatest professional success. The rage I felt was cold and sharp. This was a battle she wanted to fight on my turf. The world of evidence, precision, and meticulous detail. I was going to bury her in it. I spent the next 3 days in a state of controlled fury, compiling my defense. I was an architect of models. Now, I would be the architect of her legal defeat. I gathered every piece of evidence. The timeline. Official competition entry forms dated 6 months before she moved in. The blueprints. Every initial sketch and time-stamped CAD rendering in my name. The receipts. A spreadsheet itemizing over $4,000 in materials, all paid from my bank account. The journal feature. The advanced copy of the architectural journal with a 6-page spread crediting me as the sole designer. Communications. Emails with competition organizers from over a year ago discussing my design. I booked an hour with a lawyer who helped me organize my evidence into an irrefutable narrative. He assured me that in small claims, the weight of credible evidence is everything. She was bringing a sob story. I was bringing an arsenal. Last night, I ran into her and Marcus at a coffee shop. She was radiant, confident, and approached me with a smug smile. "Julian," she said, her voice dripping with fake pity. "This doesn't have to be so ugly. My lawyer says my case is airtight." A lie, as lawyers aren't typical in small claims. "Just wire me $5,000. A small price to pay to make this all go away." I looked at her, then at Marcus, who was nodding like a puppet. Her strategy was clear. Harass me until I paid her to stop. "I'm not paying you a single cent for my own work, Cassandra," I said, my voice low and steady. "I'll see you in court." I walked out, leaving her stunned. The battle lines were drawn. She had no idea how fiercely I was prepared to defend my life's work. Final update. The day of court was surreal. I arrived with my binder of evidence. Cassandra showed up in a power suit, flanked by Marcus and her mother, ready for a performance. And performed she did. She spun a dramatic tale of a collaborative partnership, with her as the visionary muse and me as the simple craftsman. Marcus took the stand and lied through his teeth about design sessions that never happened. When it was my turn, I didn't perform. I presented. I calmly walked the judge through my binder, laying out the dated entry forms, the time-stamped designs, the receipts, and the emails. The final exhibit was the architectural journal. "Your Honor," I said, handing it to him. "This is a 6-page feature on the model. It credits me as the sole designer. Miss Vance's name does not appear, because she had absolutely nothing to do with it." The judge read the article, then looked up, peering over his glasses at Cassandra and Marcus. His expression was withering. He dismissed her case with prejudice, and gave them both a stern lecture on perjury and filing frivolous, vindictive lawsuits. They left the courtroom in humiliated silence. The fallout was swift. Marcus, having been legally threatened and publicly embarrassed, wanted nothing more to do with her. A mutual acquaintance told me they had a spectacular fight. He had served his purpose and was discarded. A month ago, I got a message from Caleb, her ex. He apologized, explaining that Cassandra had been stringing him along for a year. The night I kicked her out, she had arrived at his door with her luggage, expecting to move in. It was the last straw for him, and he'd cut her off completely. His message was a final, validating piece of closure. But the most karmic consequence, the true chef's kiss of justice, came from a place I never expected. 2 months after the court case, I was contacted by the architectural firm that had sponsored the competition. They were so impressed with my library model that they wanted to commission me to build the main presentation model for a new luxury hotel they were developing. It was a career-defining project. During a meeting, a senior partner, Eleanor, was looking over my portfolio. "It's funny," she said. "We recently had a PR firm pitch us for this hotel's launch campaign, a very aggressive young woman named Cassandra Vance." My blood ran cold, Eleanor continued, shaking her head. Her pitch was strange. To showcase her firm's aesthetic vision, she included several photos of architectural models. One of them, she said, pausing to meet my eyes, looked incredibly familiar. Cassandra, in her infinite arrogance, had used the professional photos of my award-winning model in her official pitch deck to this firm. She was fraudulently presenting my work as part of her brand. "We recognized the model instantly, of course," Eleanor said with a grim smile. We not only rejected her pitch, but I made a few calls. Misrepresenting intellectual property is a cardinal sin in our world. I believe Ms. Vance will find it very difficult to get a meeting with any reputable development firm in this city for the foreseeable future. There it was. In her desperate attempt to co-opt my success, she had delivered the evidence of her own fraud to the one group of people with the power to truly end her career. The last I heard, Cassandra had moved back in with her parents. Her career is in shambles, her reputation shot. She lost her home, her backup plans, and her professional standing, all because she couldn't tolerate anyone else's success. My life, on the other hand, is better than ever. My apartment is quiet, the new commission is the most rewarding work I've ever done. I didn't have to destroy her life, I just stood my ground and protected my own. She said I was lucky she chose me. I simply replied, let's fix that. I opened the door and let her go, and she walked straight into a world of consequences she alone had built.